Hello there.
What's going on, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well. And in today's video, I'm going through every single character I think we could see in the book of Boba Fett. It's a pretty long list, so without further ado, we're going to jump right on into it. Let's get the obvious choices out of the way. Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, pretty much already confirmed at this point that there's just kind of a given. And before we really get on into it, take this all simply with a grain of salt. It's all really just a theory on my end. It's all speculation on my end of things, not rumored or not news, not confirmed or anything like that. Simply just for fun. I should also mention that this isn't going to go in any specific order, and it's going to just kind of go over the character and then maybe just a little generic reason as of why, if it's not kind of already a given reason. That brings me to my next one. Mandalorian, of course, brought back Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, and to see him appear within this show I think would make a lot of sense overall, seeing the story of impact that he's had on Boba. Our next choice is Dengar. Dengar played a pretty significant role within the Clone Wars TV series with Boba Fett, and what he is today exactly, I guess. It really applies for every other bounty hunter kind of out there in the game, such as Dengar, Bosk, Cad Bane. I personally think are all very plausible choices out there, seeing the impact and overall connections that they had with Boba Fett and his character within the Clone Wars TV series and throughout the years, and more or less specifically also in War of the Bounty Hunters as well. That's something else I'm going to talk a little bit more about later on into the video. Our next option would be Grogu. No specific reason as of why he would appear in this TV series. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense because of just the way the timelines correlate. I definitely think that they're going to bring back Grogu / Baby Yoda for marketing reasons for sure. Whether or not that's going to be with Ahsoka Tano, who's also a very plausible choice to also appear within the book of Boba Fett, seeing that it's kind of all connecting to the quote-unquote Mandalorian universe with the Ahsoka show, the Mandalorian, and then the book of Boba Fett, all kind of connecting into their own little trilogy almost, if you will. I definitely think that they could save her, however, for the own series that she has, the Ahsoka Tano series, and from there we could also see Luke Skywalker. Maybe we'll get some type of hint at Luke Skywalker in the book of Boba Fett, or some type of mention like we did in Mando Season 2 towards the beginning of the season, and then of course later on in the season finale. Luke Skywalker and Boba Fett have a little bit of a history, so it would kind of make sense that the two meet again. Another option would be pretty much a lot of characters or supporting cast characters from the Mandalorian overall, such as Grief Karga, Migs Mayfield. Cobb Vanth also has a bit of a history with Boba Fett and wearing his armor and taking on that quote-unquote legacy of Boba Fett for that time being. And we could also see Cara Dune and kind of fixing her character, so to speak, seeing the firing of Gina Carano. And then we could also see Moff Gideon also appear within the book of Boba Fett series and see what he's been up to, whether or not he's going to escape from whatever jail cell they might have him locked up in, and what he could very well be up to. Other characters that more or less connect more or less over to the Ahsoka Tano series, and I think something that is more likely to happen within the Ahsoka Tano series would be Rebels characters such as Sabine Wren, Captain Rex, Harrison Dula, all kind of appearing within the Ahsoka series. I'm kind of leaning towards that idea, but hey, never say never when it comes to the book of Boba Fett. We could always get some type of mention with those characters. Somebody I kind of left out when I mentioned Mandalorian appearing within the book of Boba Fett, seeing that the two are kind of left with each other, would be Lady Bo-Katan, and her legacy kind of lies with Mando and the Darksaber, really. So if Mando's going to appear, you should probably count on having Bo-Katan also make some sort of appearance with him as well. However, as far as a legacy goes with Boba Fett and Bo-Katan, the two don't really seem to correlate as much and kind of butt heads. It's kind of a weird situation, a weird relationship between these characters, and something I definitely would like to see a little bit more of. This next one I think is definitely an honorable mention, and something very likely, as the overall show of The Bad Batch seemed to tease at some sort of correlation and connection to the book of Boba Fett, that there would very well be The Bad Batch, including Omega. I think it's something very interesting to bring to live action. It very well could be a little too soon to bring these characters to live action, and while we're on the topic of The Bad Batch, must I also mention having Sid possibly appear somewhere in the book of Boba Fett here. Whether or not it's a significant role or just a simple mention, I think it very well could just be some sort of mention. Now, Munchki, also when it comes to the Bad Batch show, is something I think is a little more likely. A little bit of a spoiler alert here, or plot leak here, so to speak. A couple months ago, we had covered it here on the channel. We had, coming from StarWars.net, a concept art of Boba Fett riding a Rancor throughout the streets of Tatooine. Could that very well be Munchki? We don't really know exactly, so it very well could be, so I might as well throw that one in there as well. This is one I should have mentioned a little more earlier on in the video with those other bounty hunters, including Dengar, Bosk, and Cad Bane, that there would be IG-88, first seen in The Empire Strikes Back. He very well could make some sort of comeback as well, although I think it's a little more likely than some other ones on this list. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Now, one I think it would be really cool to see would be Jango Fett. Now, that would more specifically, of course, take place within flashback scenes, of course, for obvious reasons, but I very well think it would be cool to at least have some type of mention like we did have in The Mandalorian Season 2 when he was showing his armor code to the Mandalorian to prove that it really was his. On the topic of Jango Fett and the reason for his death, I know some of you are going to hate me for this, but we very well could see Mace Windu appear in the book of Boba Fett. It's something that I've longed for the last couple of months here on the channel. I've made separate videos covering this, talking about it, etc, etc. Something, however, I've never really actually mentioned in any of those videos is if it could be a flashback or if it would be taking place present time within the book of Boba Fett is kind of just unknown. If Mace Windu lives or not, I think it would be a little more plausible, however, to have this take place in a flashback scene. I think it would make fans a little more happier that he does stay dead. However, I keep my fingers crossed, and I hope every day that we do see Mace Windu appear somewhere in the book of Boba Fett. I definitely think it would be really cool. Now, these next couple ones are a little strange, but Max Rebo, maybe he survived the Jabba the Hutt's sail barge explosion. Maybe. That's just kind of a little speculation out there. Just going to throw it out there. Not that he would play any significant role within the book of Boba Fett series. He did have his own comics, a few of them here and there, where he was on some adventures, which I think were pretty cool. On top of the idea of Max Rebo, Jabba's little monkey thing, pet, I'm not really sure how you're supposed to pronounce his name. It was recently changed on StarWars.com that his death was removed from StarWars.com. So he is out there and he is said to have survived that explosion, which does bring on the idea of Max Rebo. This next one makes a lot of sense to me, having Rada the Hutt appear within the book of Boba Fett series. This here is Jabba the Hutt's son, actually seen in the Clone Wars movie, which I think is pretty cool, and it would be cool to bring back this character, especially in a live-action form, to try to regain that throne of Jabba the Hutt and reclaim his father's legacy in taking over the palace. Further on, that brings on the other ideas of having other Hutts kind of bring on the challenge here to bring back the throne for the Jabba the Hutt's hut and take it away from Boba Fett. Not that these slug guys can really do a whole lot, or not that we've actually really seen them in action a whole lot, but it would be cool to see these guys appear within live action. Next one has actually been teased a lot, actually, believe it or not. This here is Black Kursantin. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but essentially it's an evil Wookiee. That's my gandering from it. It's like a Chewbacca, but not so nice, essentially. And he does actually work with Boba Fett in some cases within the War of the Bounty Hunter comics and so on and so on. It would be cool to see this character appear in live action, and I think it would be really scary to see this character in live action. Staying on the topic of comics, something I've not actually really talked a whole lot here on the channel or overall would be Dr. Aphra appearing in live action for one thing, and appearing in the book of Boba Fett. She also appears in the War of the Bounty Hunter comics, and I think would be really, really cool to bring her to live action. She worked under Darth Vader in his name, and a little bit of a side note, could Darth Vader appear in flashbacks as well? I think it's very, very likely that he could also do that, seeing that Tamora Morrison had teased back that we're going to have flashbacks to the quote-unquote Empire days taking place with the Empire Strikes Back. Something that I have seen some Star Wars fans kind of throw out there is that, hey, they're kind of recreating the Thrawn trilogy that takes place after the events of Return of the Jedi with this quote-unquote Mandalorian universe, so could Thrawn get some type of mention here within the Book of Boba Fett series? You never know, just gonna throw that one out there as well. On the topic of War of the Bounty Hunters, Qi'ra also makes an appearance within there, first seen in Solo, A Star Wars Story. It would be really cool to see her come back to live action and appear somewhere in the Book of Boba Fett, at least have some type of mention. I definitely think would be really, really cool. And furthermore, on the topic of Qi'ra, we very well could see Chewbacca, and even more likely, Han Solo and Lando appearing somewhere in the Book of Boba Fett. I think would be really, really cool as well. The two for sure definitely have some connections to Boba Fett, and Boba Fett has his connections to these characters as well. It would be cool to see what these guys are up to, since we did get to see what Luke Skywalker was up to during this time of The Mandalorian, him starting up his Jedi Temple. What are these two exactly up to here during this time of The Mandalorian universe? I definitely would like to see these guys at least have some type of mention within The Mandalorian universe, if not more likely or more hyped for than Mace Windu. I definitely hope to make a few future videos videos on this. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell if you haven't already, to be notified when new videos do come out, guys. Let me know of your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. What characters do you guys want to see appear here in the book of Boba Fett? I'd love to hear what you guys all think in the comments down below. Let me know down there. More of a disclaimer here, as I had mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is all simply theory, speculation, hopes, and dreams. None of it is even rumored. Really, half of this is not even rumored, so simply take it with a grain of salt. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, as it really does help with the channel, and check out our Instagram, Unofficial Star Wars, for more Star Wars related content. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. As always, may the Force be with you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.